Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whoever you are and wherever you are. Today is 23rd of August 2026. For me, it's another week more to go before the Independence Day for my country, which is end of the month. So yeah, it's this it's a time where a spirit of feeling patriotic and nationalism comes to light. Of course, there's always the dark and gloomy situation of politics is coming much more dead, much more degenerate, I would say. Whether most of people think it's opportunistic to use racial slurs and racial agendas, similar to what Hitler did in the Nazi against the Jews, and currently Israel is doing to the Palestinians. Racial and religious are the two most common tools of any political rulebook. If you want to topple one person or another party or another, just because of their creed, just because of their race or even culture. It has been running like this since the ancient times, and I would certainly know, consequently, it will run into the future. Until the point where people eliminate and understand that is the point where collectivism and the commune will become much more viable, and people start to understand what's truly meaning of socialism is all about. I still believe today's mindset, socialism is a very utopian idea, but it is an idea where the future would benefit for all mankind. It's just that you have to hard to embrace, because humanities are very survival people and materialistic, I would say. If I'm rich, should I give my money to those who are destitute? Yes, mankind can do that, but how many mankind or humanity in you will grow a soul out of you to do that? No rich people in this god-forsaken world would do that. You don't see Elon Musk doing it. You don't see them doing it. Probably you'll see them starting to do it when they're reaching to death, when they're near to the point where God is going to touch them. Or should I say, the devil is going to touch them. And then that's where they try to make their so-called life more blessing by giving out, their monies away for charities and so forth, so they can make out their scores with the maker. That is something I would say, even eyes of God, ain't gonna work like that. And beyond the situation, hopefully by the first week of November, we would see a better condition from the United States. I count my hopes during the midterm election. That would be a good news. Hopefully the Senate and most definitely the House of Representatives might swing to the Democrats. Now I'm speaking this as not American. I'm speaking personally as how America's politics influence me in the prospect of person looking from the outside of America. In the end, election is based on what does domestically the America needs. Whether they still need a strong border security, which I kind of agree. What kind of situation, what America wants to approach with internationals, citizens, like outside of non-U.S. citizens, and how you diplomatically respect other countries, which today many countries do understand. Do you want to talk to America? First thing first, America would threaten you. They would make you suffer, and then they come to the table. Okay, let's make friends. Here's the deal. Da da da. Take it or leave it. That kind of scenario. This kind of playbook, EU understands it. Russia understands it, China understands it, Japan across the world has understand it. But during his first term, probably it's a shock. But when he's running in the second term, shame, fool me once, shame me. How should I say it? What's that metaphor is? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. So that's the state now America is, and whatever President Trump wants to do in international stand or negotiating international countries, also non-Americans, is in a gridlock. Many of them don't take it. They are threats, and the biggest problem to America's hegemony is actually many countries are now making Plan B. The question arises, what if we cannot rely on the United States? What is the world order? What happens to Pax Americana? What would happen right now before Trump became president, even before the first term as the United States president in 2016? I mean, what would happen to us as non-Americans? We cannot rely on America for security, which is doing very fine because we rely on United States to protect the sovereignty of other countries from terrorists, from countries that is opposed to America's will or opposed to any smaller countries. Because if you run back before Pax Americana, every single country has to self-sustain, defend themselves, having a military policy that is defending their country, which is the Soviet Union or Russia, Germany, which created Nazi Germany, United Kingdom was like British empires, and etc. Every country has to defend themselves when the war. That's why we have World War I and then subsequently World War II. With Pax Americana, every country do not need to have oversupply and over self-relying on military might, because we have a friend like America to help ease that. Having a security, somebody like a big brother protecting a smaller, weaker countries, and having that, so make the world much more safer, rather than having all the countries have to self-defense themselves. And eventually it became a racket of world wars. So luckily, that's what is the beauty of having Pax Americana. So long the big brother is not a colonial master, aggressive, of course I would say that there is no such thing as zero. They will have an influence, and one of it is the language. We speak much more globally in lingua franca is English. And now we're seeing America's much more different perspective, and a lot of countries, especially European Union, the question arises, what can we self-defend against Russia without having America involved, or America reject to get involved? Well, if NATO, suddenly the United States opt out, what is the purpose of the strength in NATO against the Russians or even Russia's friend China? How would the Pacific East side, especially the Far East Asia, would look like if America pulled out from protecting the South Koreans or Japan or even Taiwan, and let alone Singapore, Southeast Asia, Australia? If they don't exist, it will repeat the same thing what will happen in the Second World War. A weak European empire or weak other than Western civilization. You have one of the super Asian countries dominating the entire region of Asia, which is wink wink Japan. So they're conquering, slaughtering people, Asia killing Asian people in the name of co-conspiracy, prosperity agendas by the Japanese. Now we have China, and China, if you live in China, being in under the communist regime, a lot of it the schools education system have kind of brainwashed its students without having them to critical think of it. Is these are all in the past. If you dig it up the past to make it into an action, then you doom indefinitely to repeat the history. I cannot say incomprehensively. I would say if there is war really happen, China is very itchy in their hands to pull the trigger to go invade Japan. It is not because Japan has any meaningful resources or what, but it is revenge killing. I no doubt, even though they weren't really living in the time of the Second World War, but most of it is descendants, children's children of those who've been massacred by the Japanese, will definitely, after programmed and brainwashed by the public schools and education by that is specially made to that to hate the Japanese, I think they would proudly do it. Well, I myself is a Chinese, but I'm not mainland born. I'm actually Southeast Asia, like Singaporean Chinese, Malaysian Chinese, Thai Chinese, Indonesian Chinese. We were born outside of China, so our education system wasn't brainwashed like Chinese mainlanders. We learned the history of our country. Well, when I say my country is Malaysia, and I'm proud of being a Malaysian. So that is why I'm very comfortable with the Japanese culture. I'm very comfortable with Japanese language and their history to an extent. But learning and both sides of the history, it gives me a higher level of understanding and criticism. No countries are purely angels. No country is purely evil or satanic values. Both have double-sided face. They're kind of duplicitous in their sense. They're evil, yet they're good. And they're evil, yet they're good. And they're good, and they're evil. So no country in this goddamn world are purely angel and always a goody two-shoe guy. No country at all. Not so ever. And that is my belief in how the world works. If everyone can work together to the benefits of for peace, it's good enough for me. So long you don't strive for the individual's freedom and their rights, and not to insult them so cold-heartedly. Just recently news came out in my country. Someone, probably because we do not know who it is, burned the holy books of Quran. It came out in the news. At least I look at the news in the Facebook. It was reported today. Somebody burned the Quran, but we do not know who. It was found. Evidently, there is an area somebody has burned in the field, and then when they're running through those debris, they were holding a lot of Quran scriptures. So that's how they know it is somewhat is a Quran or holy book based Islamic holy book. Now, to me, I am not a Muslim. I denounce that. I think this is cowardice. These are the people who pent up hatred against Muslims, and they know they're living in a Muslim majority country, and they still want to vent out their anger. They secretly, cowardly burn this holy book. And every holy books, every sacred books cannot touch the ground. They literally throw it in the ground. That's already an insult there. And then they burn it. Now in Europe's countries, this the value is. They make it as a statement. You see the person in Finland or Sweden, I believe there's one very far right wing. They go and burn the book in the public. Everyone can see in broad daylight of the Quran book, which I truly say I denounce that. But it is their country's freedom of speech. But somewhat, freedom of speech comes in with a price. If you do this kind of very sensitive, hits the heart, you get the opposite direction from the opposite reaction. You get hard hit from the community that embraces this, the religious scripture very hardly against you. Always go for moderate direction. That's my word. I would say be moderate. Let's agree to disagree. There are many things that in the world that we have all different core beliefs and culture and language, but the core entity of issues still arise as a major problem. Number one, economy. Everybody got to go to get job. Everybody needs to make money to pay the bills. You have to have a good economy. An economy does not discriminate race or religion. When I'm talking about that, means the economy itself. But it's the people who runs the economy that discriminate the race and religion. That's a totally different point. But if everyone's issue is the same, whether you are a Muslim, you are a Jew, you are a Christian, you are a Catholic, you are so-called in America, if you are satanic believers, the one most important problem is you still need to make money. Economy is number one. Number two, healthcare. Everybody's got to live. You are born, you breathe, you eat, you all need to be healthy. You need healthcare to prevent you from death and suffering. Number three, education. Everybody's got to get education, a good quality education. And number four, food. Everybody's got to eat, everybody's got to drink. So agriculture becomes a core in issues. There's so many fundamental politics or government needs to take on as agenda. Talking about race, talking about religion is something that should not brought into the stand in the podium of the political arena floor. It should be taken up by the society itself. It should be rendered by the society, not by the politics. The Constitution is always built not to discriminate specific race or religion. United States Constitution designed in such a manner. Every constitution is very broad because it's supposed to serve all of its citizens, regardless of race, creed, and culture. So that is my major belief in that. So I hope in the future, when November comes, America made a good stand of what they believe in, and so I would we all can have a very, very good life. If you ask me opinion, you voted for a party that is opposed to Donald Trump so that you get Donald Trump to be sacked in next year. I disagree with that because America has made its decision that they know this president is going to serve another 5 years and he should serve another 5 years rather than the politician impeach him just because he's Donald Trump. Yes, we don't like his policy, but you can prevent him by having election, which is this November is a sign of election. The election that you will oppose his policy through the voice of the voters. That is the power, and that gives legitimacy to oppose the president. Impeaching him, force him down as the president, assassinate him, all this I never agree, and I don't agree. This is only a handful of people controlling the entire voters' destiny. I don't believe it. It should be controlled by the voters, the people. When they go into the November's election, it should be them that try to say, hey, Mr. Trump, Mr. President, I don't like your policy, what you have did for the past 2 years. I can't give you the support to have the reign in the House and in the Senate. That is why I'm not voting for your party. I'm voting another party that goes against your policy, so that you better buckle up and fix it on your own policy. That is the power of democracy. That is the strength of democracy. And I hope that will happen in November. And if the Republican wins, that's again people's choice. We cannot deny. That's how democracy works. Okay, past 20 minutes, rambling about the world politics as my viewpoint of the currently I felt. Well, let's get into our main topic. The topics is the new notes that I've procured for the past, since my last video. These are the notes that I've got. Actually, I do have next week, there will be I think 2 notes that I'm going to get from my mail from the last auction I won. So later I'm going to get that one probably in next week video and the next weekend. So yeah, next weekend will be quite a long holiday. It will be a 3-day weekend because it's Independence Day in my country. So yeah, I will be doing that probably in the next coming Sunday, 7 days later. So I'm doing this one now so that I don't have backlogs of my collection when I go through my inventories and so forth. So yeah, first off, I'm going to talk about this Chinese notes. These look like I just have a plastic here. Let's just remove that little plastic. Republic of China, Bank of Communication, pick number 148B series, 1 yuan 1931, branch in Shanghai. This is a note, of course, a lot of the community will think this is a very cheap note and it's a very easy to get. Luckily, I got it through an auction, so it was relatively cheap because it was graded with the grading cost. And having the grading 64 out of 70 is the very, I could say it's really good for the price that I paid. If it's 65 or 66, the ballpark of this one becomes much more higher. And to me, relatively, I might as well get it raw condition without grade, because this note you can get it ungraded ones much more cheaper. It's quite a common note. It's not expensive, relatively expensive note, but it is very, very difficult to find it. And once it's difficult to find it and people realize it, a lot of the seller, they'll jack up the price really high. And if you want, the moment that you want to sell it, if you're an investor, tough luck. You're not able to get back your money, because that what you have sold, even to even break even, is impossible. Because when you sell it to another buyer, that buyer also knows what the value of this note, and it's not really very high value note. But for me, unfortunately, I got this one really good price. With grading, it's almost a great deal. I think I get it 70% cheaper than its actual price. So it was really, really good bid, I would say. 70% discount. So yeah, this note is quite common at that time, 1931, before the war happened. It was a period where they almost tried to, especially Bank of Communication, start to evolve in their design. The watermark of the design is still the train, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you can see the watermark there. It's a train, locomotive train. So Bank of Communications notes, I kind of like it because they show cityscapes or the infrastructure, like the train, the ships, the custom building, or the Bank of Communication headquarter building in Shanghai. Those sort of stuff, rather than they put Sun Yat-sen or Chiang Kai-shek's portrait in. The Bank of Communication approach is much more different. It's much more neutral, in some way neutral if of their design. And the front is always in Chinese and the back is in English. So if you're a foreigner, then you can see in the back what is the value of it and so forth. And the front is for the masses of the local who reads Chinese. The 1 yuan, 1, this is denomination 1. Now of course some people might quite feel bizarre, why this 1 is not like the 1, it's just like one line. Normally when you go to Mandarin school or you have learned Chinese or Mandarin, 1 is just 1 dash, 2 is 2 dash, and 3 is 3 dash. But this is 1. In this character in Chinese is also 1. Normally we have formal and informal Chinese. In the old days they have formal and informal Chinese. This is considered the formal Chinese for banks, or if you are commerce or merchant, tendency you will see something like this as this character officially as 1. So you see a lot of the Chinese banknotes, they don't literally write like 1 as is 1. So it's a bizarre thing actually. For me it's a very bizarre thing, but for them it's a kind of a proper way of writing official money currency in numbers. So yeah. So it is almost like saying that this is written 1 in a proper for mathematics. You can write 1 in English as O and A, or you can just write 1 stroke 1. It's the same thing. You can write 1 stroke 1, or you can write the official character in 1, like this. So that's one of those things that in debacle. And furthermore to this, if you notice, there's a lot of fiber. There's a lot of colors like this, like the kind of mold, like this. These are like microfibers that is embedded into the note, which at that time you can't counterfeit this. Only a special technique of making the notes you can see this. And of course today we do this with included embedded in with UV glow light onto this kind of microfiber things on it. So when you put it under UV light, it will glow. The modern notes, the old notes, they don't glow, but you don't find this technique to embed all these kind of things at that time is very, very difficult to counterfeit. So it's one of the security feature of the note. So the back is quite simple, no comments, which is really good for the purchase. Behind is signed in Chinese characters, not in English, and the front is with the seal of the bank. I think it's the bank president and the bank and general manager. So yeah, Bank of Republic of China, Bank of Communication, pick number 148B. I don't know what's A actually, so I'm going to find out sooner or later when I do my cataloging. So yeah, this is for B series, 1931, 1 yuan, branch from Shanghai. Onward to the next one note is let's take it back to China. As I got it, this one. This is the People's Republic of China, 1949, 10 yuan. Now, condition wise of the note, as personal collection, is quite decent, quite good in my way. Colors are still striking. There is of course already written in pencil in 10 here. The corners are still okay, they are still sharp, not too shabby. Color is actually very, very good. I like it. And the background you still can see is not too faded. The light orange of the foreground of the image, and then the printout and embossing of this is all still there, very strong. The numbers are still very striking. I think it's in very good condition. The back, same thing. As you can see, there's a strong fault light in the middle. 10 actually. So yeah, it's quite good condition, I would say. Of course there has been evidence, so of course nothing surprise, evidence of usage, so I would consider this as a very fine to fine condition. Condition wise, Watermark. This note has watermark, but very simple watermark. It's like a wave. If you notice here, it's like a wave, magnetite wave. You see the lines here? They go up and down across the note. That is a security feature for the 10 yuan note. From front, you can see the wave again of the lines. Going wave up and down. Wave up and down. Yeah.